you're interested in speaking during public comment, you can let us know when public comment opens. It's a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation here this morning. I'll now take a roll call. Should I go through everybody?
You can, or just say who's not present.
Okay. Then Dalel and Kathy are not present. Okay. Ronnie, do you want to do the pledge of allegiance? I always pick on Matt.
Let's do it. Right.
That's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. Does anyone wish to reorder or add to our agenda? Seeing no one, I will now open our public comment period. Okay. No public comments.
There's just one it's in.
Oh, is it in here? I'm
this,
sorry.
this morning.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't, I just came here this morning from
Thanks,
Christina. About, she, as it says, lives in Pasadena, wasn't able to make it. But has some ideas to think about. But she mentioned these at the last time she was here, but so I gave that to you.
Okay. Should I read this? Or,
I mean, if you want to summarize it.
okay, so this is from Christina Keener-Ivy from Top Billing, and she lives in Pasadena, so obviously could not be here today. She wanted to share a few thoughts that she thought might be helpful for our discussion, and she summarized it in 5 bullet points. Number 1 was defining our ideal client and target audience. It's important that we clearly define the ideal client or family we want to attract to the village. Our event should be designed with this in mind, ensuring that we focus on offerings that resonate with our target demographics. By doing this effectively, we'll naturally attract the right audience and in turn deter those who may not align with our vision. We need to clarify our why so we can shape the direction of our events. 2, systems and protocols for event coordination. Who is responsible for the overarching vision of our events? Effective event execution relies on clear leadership, so it's essential to determine who will oversee the coordination and social media components. Currently, it seems the board assumes events are running smoothly on their own, but this is not the case. We need documented guidelines for past events, including timelines for planning, advertising, and execution. Is there a standard procedure for all events? And if so, what is it? Additionally, when changes are made to an event, what is the process for notifying bid members? Are there specific guidelines for consulting members before making significant changes? A paper petition or a system where a certain percentage of bid members sign off on changes could be beneficial for transparency and ensuring consensus. 3, measuring event success. There doesn't seem to be a clear definition of what constitutes a successful event. While complaints are inevitable, it's important to establish parameters for success. We need to consider the type of businesses currently on the block and their ideal clientele, and tailor events to attract those demographics throughout the year. Instead of trying to make every business happy with each event, we should focus on measurable goals that align with our target audience. 4, clarifying social media and website content. Clear guidelines are needed for the type of content shared on our social media platforms and the village website. We should develop brand guidelines, be distributed annually to ensure consistency across all marketing channels. 5, board's role in serving the bid. It is essential to reiterate that the board serves the bid, not the other way around. Thank you. To foster better communication and engagement, each board member should be required to personally visit and reach out to every business on the block at least once per year. Additionally, if some bid members are not responding to email surveys, alternative methods should be used to gather feedback, such as in-person visits, social media surveys, text message reminders, or paper surveys for those less inclined to use digital platforms. Given the information overload businesses face, it's important we make multiple attempts to gather feedback. 3 to 5 times a single email will no longer suffice. The end. Oh, it's not the end, sorry. I'm thinking that. Hope these suggestions are helpful and contribute to the board's ongoing efforts. I also look forward to participating in the upcoming mastermind sessions. With the collective business experience of over 300 years on this block, I believe we have the potential to achieve remarkable things together. We discussed this? Is that all right?
We can close public comment, then the next section, or during the, this kind of fits in the, I think, in the budget discussions.
Okay.
And then
I'll
the
close
last thing we talked
public comment then. And board statements and reports. Do you have any statements or reports? Joe, do you have a report?
No, the other thing is just, as we know, a lot of stuff's been going on in the village with the winds and everything. There's a lot of cleanup going on. Kind of looking at the budgetary items, some of the winter banners were just destroyed when they blew off and ripped and that kind of stuff. So there will be replacements needed for next year. Nothing great.
Is there any extra cleanup that we need to do in the downtown to make sure that all the leaves get cleared?
Well, when I was coming down, the gardener, the maintenance people were blowing leaves and cleaning up, so I'm sure that was that.
They were still doing that when you were driving. When I was driving through, I didn't see them and there were still piles of leaves everywhere.
Oh, I just saw them the south part, but it was like an hour ago. I'm sure they'll be coming back, but I can double check.
Alicia or Chantel, do you guys have a?
Yeah, just some reminders, and I know some stuff came up at the last meeting, just some requests regarding grants that the city has received. So I just wanted to first touch on some dates and then to give you like a general, I guess, summary of the grants that I believe Frank brought up the last time, just, just to cover our due diligence and to give you some resources to look at. If you want to further do some research, I want to provide you guys that as well. So dates to keep in mind: on the 14th of this month, so this upcoming Tuesday, staff will be taking the bids, bylaws to council. So we'll be presenting that to the city council for them to go ahead and approve. On March 25th, the bids annual plan, which will include the bids to your budget, will also go to council for city approval. That's again going to include your budget and just your list of events, which is why today is so important to kind of talk about what direction you guys are looking at going moving forward. At that time, the city council will adopt a resolution announcing the intention to levy and collect assessments from the bid members for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Public noticing will be posted in the paper at that time, and bid members will be noticed of the assessment amount that the board either renews or proposes. And then on May 13th and the 27th, the public hearing for that will be held. And at that time, a resolution will be adopted for the bid to be assessed. So this is a process that happens every year. Just wanted to remind you all, since you're now under the management of the chamber and we have Ronnie as a new board member, just kind of wanted to go over that. And that's it as far as dates. So to quickly go over the grants that were brought up at the last meeting, the first being the Talk Tap grant, which is an LA Metro grant. The city was awarded $200,000 for visioning around the Gold Line. So it's going to be a half mile from the Gold Line. So the bid is right at that line. This grant is particular to the visioning related to development. So the development that's going to be happening around the city, increasing walkability and transit in particular. So really just increasing density within that half mile of the transit line. And then the next grant that was brought up was also the People Movement Project. There was a community engagement event that was held on December 14th, which was the same day as the parade here in the Bidwell. And that's regarding the future of the Little Dalton Wash, which is, the Little Dalton Wash Trail. So that's going to be the creation of a new trail from Finkbeiner Park to the Colby Trail on Lorraine Avenue. And that's also going to include Glendora Avenue improvements as well. This has been in the works, designing and visioning since, I believe, 2022. So we'll start seeing that in fruition in the next year or so. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. There are surveys still available online social media. So if you go to the city's website and you go to the city's Instagram and Facebook page, you should have access to where you can get that survey. So if you have any questions during the workshop, I'm available to answer any questions in more detail, but just to kind of give you a heads up about those two grants and what I have information on for you as we approach and enter into the workshop.
Cool. Thanks, Lucia. Okay. Go ahead. Next we'll go to Megan. She has a report.
Good morning, you guys. I am still on day 2.5 without power, so I apologize if I do cut out. I don't have Wi-Fi, but right now my cellular data is going strong. But a little update for you guys. I know we met in December and kind of wrapped up some of our holiday items. As of right now, Joe, Matt, and I were able to have a meeting this week to kind of kick off our wine walk for next year, which is scheduled for Saturday, March 22nd. So be on the lookout either tomorrow or Monday. I will be going around and passing out flyers to our businesses, first come, first serve for wine walk or wine pour stations. We're aiming for the same goals last year as far as how many pour stations we're going to be taking. We're also going to be getting sponsorship information out. So we're hitting the ground running and collaborating also with Luis this week in regards to getting some sort of save the date out. We are going to just be updating and refreshing the logo since we are removing the beer aspect of the event as proposed by a few members in our meeting last time. So once that's refreshed, then we will be able to get some information out, save the dates online, website, all of that stuff. And we also have decided, again, due to the success last year, we are going to be continuing doing a super early bird special on ticket sales for our previous attendees. So Matt will be getting rolling on that probably next week once we're able to get that save the date out. So we'll collaborate on kind of the official release date for that. But as of right now, that's all I have in terms of upcoming events.
Awesome. And then we'll go to Luis. She on the call? Yes, okay, cool. And Luis, you can just a quick overview. You don't need to do a deep dive today.
Okay, yeah, no, all good. I have so since this is the first meeting of the year, I decided to just pull over our quarterly report, which I can send you all a link to the quarterly summary. So I'll make sure I get that to you guys. But you know, since from October to December, so fourth quarter, we had a 5% growth rate over the past 3 months. So we grew from to 7,468 followers on Instagram. That's a 376 person growth. We hit over just under 250,000 impressions in Q4, and with an average daily reach of 1,000, unique reach of 1,107 people daily. We had 239 website clicks and over 6,000 profile views. In terms of high performing posts, you know, our top performing post over the past 3 months was one was our Veterans Day post. We, you know, a tribute post, and we had a picture of the American flag. The other was a sunset post. It was a post of the sunset over the Glendora Village that got over 463 engagements. And then we had our holiday stroll announcement and tree lighting that garnered 772 engagements. And then the return of the Wild Noble, pumpkin patch, and then obviously another announcement around the holiday stroll. So, you know, again, people love seeing events and major happenings in the Glendora Village, as well as beautiful scenery. And so, you know, we're just focusing on pushing the wine walk events. As Megan said, we're going to coordinate over that. And then just focus on getting more content and resharing more of what's happening around the community rather than specific, just like a different way to show what the community is like. So showing more people in our feed, working on gathering that type of content over the next month, and just sharing it from there as we go forward with the next few months. So all in all, social is very strong and alive and well. I just think that there's always room for improvement, and that's what we're working on.
Thanks, Liz. All right, we'll move to the consent calendar and we'll affirm the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 meeting, and then also affirm cancellation of the January 2nd meeting last week. So I need a motion for those things.
Okay, motion to affirm minutes
And to cancel.
and to cancel.
I will second. All in favor of those two things, say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, items on the consent calendar will be enacted. Okay, we already did all that. Great. All right, so let's move on to the budget. We'll go to our bid budget for the 2024-25 fiscal year to date. And Joe, you man.
Well, as seen there, the current as of December 31st, 2024, cash in the bank, $177,155.98. On the revenue side, it's basically just been assessments to date. In the next couple months, we'll see wine walk in income. But since Chalk Walk, the Halloween walk, there wasn't anything in yet. So that revenue is just over 21,000. And looking on the expenditures, this first column here is your actual, the second's the budget. Kind of just your monthly stuff, marketing fees, storage unit, that kind of stuff. And everything was done with the stroll. There really hasn't been anything spent other than those two. It did just get to bill for the sound system. There was some repairs and stuff that we'll be doing, but yeah, nothing there. I did have one question with landscaping. Are we gonna get any bills with that this
So
year?
typically landscaping is done quarterly and it's lumped under the city's contract that the bid just gets a better deal under the city contract. So that's, and typically it's lagged anyways, being that we still have to figure out how we're going to get those invoices over to Joe, since it's all on one city invoice. We have to work that detail out, but we imagine the city will front that money and then we'll invoice the bid via the chambers. And so you will see a quarterly expenditure line item moving forward, hopefully pretty soon. So I'll work that out with our finance department.
Yeah, I just said there hasn't been anything this fiscal year. But yeah, so based on the revenues and expenditures, it's a negative 12,000 and change. But I'm sure the wine walk will fix that a little bit. And any questions? All right, that's the financial report to December 31st.
Okay, I'll request a motion to approve the budget.
Are we approving this pre-workshop talking about budget?
The budget's
Or-
for 25, 26, I think. Or the discussion, sorry.
This is your current financial.
Current.
Yeah, these are the current financial, the budget, the next fiscal year.
Is the next, okay, yeah, all right, so
Just
then,
for this.
motion approved.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. All right, let's move to item 7, 2025-2026 bid budget workshop.
Okay, well,
Joe.
I got this, it was kind of already, Alicia already kind of mentioned, some of these dates, so I'll pass this. What we're doing today, as it happens each year, we're just kind of going through what your current revenues are, current expenditures, that type of stuff. And then working through with your discussion of what you want to do, changes, adjustments, that kind of stuff. Just kind of giving you an idea using models that have been presented to you past years that kind of to show what you currently have in the bank, minus or plus projected revenue through this June. Current projected expenditures and what you would have available, say July 1st, 2025, would be this 140, 843, cash in hand then, if everything pencils out like it's budgeted. But just know there's unassigned budget items to like special events, nothing been spent. Plus, most of the events to date have spent less than what you budgeted because of changes to events and such. So this is just kind of a projection, so you have that. Kind of looking at, I don't know, it's a little different than where I've been presented in the past, but it's kind of how I do it. So if you like it, great. If you don't, tell me not to do it. Yeah. Just kind of using, it's hard to see the colors on here, but on the screens, there's kind of 3 columns, kind of a 2023, 24, and then we're looking at your fiscal year, as you know, July 1st to June 30th. Kind of an actual. Now I know with the transition between the city and chamber, there may be a few cents off here, but it gives you an idea exactly. Give you an idea of what we're looking at. Kind of, so the first column, kind of what was spent 23, 24. These two in the middle, current budget, and then I threw up a proposed budget just for you to start to work off of. Now these numbers is a net zero budget. It's not a negative budget, so, which you'll see there in a moment. Just kind of, which you have copies of this in your packet there. So just your current events, estimated assessments, that kind of stuff. Then looking at the expenditure side, kind of basically the same minor adjustments just to figure out a zero budget. But it's really not much different than you have right now. This is just something to work off of in your discussion on kind of what you want for 25, 26, and then 20. The city does have a 2-year budget, 26, 27. This can just be like a mirror, which it can be reviewed later, and stuff like that kind of stuff. But just so we can comply with those requirements, an idea for the budget. Again, the calendar is here, and then at this point, the recommendation is to review what's been presented, your thoughts, discuss, instruct us for adjustments, what you want to do for the coming year, and then next month we'll bring back the actual draft budget for a final review and approval, so we can put into the annual plan and send to city council. With that, turn it back over to you.
Go back to revenue.
Okay.
So just looking at this, I have a couple of questions. I brought this up a couple of times previously, but I'm curious about the discrepancy between budgeted assessments and actual assessments as something that I don't know that there's what the actual mechanism is for holding people in compliance with this. But there always seems to be some kind of a shortfall in this category, and but I can't tell whether it's an actual shortfall, like it says 2023-24 actual was 32, but we have budgeted 45 for 24-25. Do we know what the budgeted for 23-24 was? Was there a shortfall in assessments, and why do we think that assessments are going to grow by $13,000 this year versus last year?
Well, for this, it's difficult for me extra this because assessments came in to us later.
Right.
Now, I mean, I've worked on an Excel file with all the members in the village. And you add them all up, it's more than that. But we're still trying to figure that part out. I mean, unless you have any idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can just reiterate some of just the basic things to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And again, this is an ideal world where you would say everyone in the village, we know exactly who they are, we know exactly what kind of business they do. We know the level, there's a methodology as to how much each business is assessed. So in a perfect world, we know all of that. In a perfect world, everyone pays their assessment, and in a perfect world, we can give you an exact number, which is again much higher than that. Now, the way you budget what's realistic is different. You go off of your actuals, and that's just how in business what typically goes. So what we do is we try to best account for who we have in the village, what kind of business they do, and not only that, but the anniversary date, because that is when all businesses pay their business tax, that's when the assessment is billed to the business owner. Everyone right now is on the anniversary date basis, so it's not like everyone is paying their assessment July 1.
Right.
So you can see an influx of assessment maybe in the latter part of the year.
Yep.
If each month was exactly the same, we could say that at the end of fiscal year 25, that 21,763 is going to double, and you're going to closely approach that budgeted actual.
Right.
So all that to say, the city right now uses a third-party vendor, which we mentioned before. They collect assessments, and then the city then distributes out to the chamber, who keeps that in a bid account.
Okay.
So again, it's really just who is paying their assessments, and we aren't collecting or enforcing collection at this time.
Okay. All right.
Also,
So-
I will say also to go off of, I know you mentioned 2023, 2024 is a little bit less.
Yes.
That was I believe that was an end of the year adjustment that wasn't properly accounted for at the time when this number was given. I think there was a difference in I think something was brought in and accounted for after the fact. So that number might be a little bit higher than 32, I want to say. But that's what we're looking at this time.
All right. As long as, we're talking about the budget, as long as you feel like you've got a good overview of that. It's always been something that seemed like an issue, but maybe just because of when everything comes in and when it gets to be on the spreadsheet, et cetera, maybe it's not an actual issue.
It's looking at the list of businesses downtown, if we just put, every storefront is at X amount, it doesn't pencil out.
Right.
If second businesses are discounted, or then you have contractors inside, non-contractor, all this kind of stuff. So, it's a lot of, but I think it's.
Then I think the next question could go to the expenditure side. So I guess we've also, in the last 3 years now, we've known that we're running at a deficit for event communication and marketing promotions primarily. Does that sound right?
So right now, the bid is their primary sources of revenue are going to be assessments and revenue generating events, which right now for you guys is pretty much solely the wine walk.
Right.
That's what you're looking at. So I think that's what today is, just kind of you looking at your revenue sources, what can be revisited, particularly in that matter, since you are running on a deficit.
Right. Do you have any sense for when we were talking about the grant for the half mile between station and where the bid boundary actually is? Do you have any sense for what the plan really is with Glencore Avenue between Ada and Foothill?
Yes, and I'll wait for Matt to sit down just so we can kind of hear this. But I don't think I thoroughly touched on it, and again, I'm not the person at our planning department
Understood.
who, they've been working extensively on this. But really, that grant money was to produce visioning, and again, that's specific to development, to increase density, foot traffic, people
Right.
near the village. So really capitalizing on the fact that we will soon have transit coming through here, and with the bid, primarily reaping the benefits of that, getting more people where there's,
Right.
businesses that have been there for a while, maybe underutilized spaces, spots and parcels where we can get higher density development. So that's really what that's for. And I know the last meeting, it might have been brought up that, that can be put towards beautification and things like that. And that's really not what that money is for. It's more for just really helping put traffic on and getting more people in Glendora through, transit, bicycle lanes and development.
I think where I'm headed with this is like, is this where we need to talk a little bit about potentially expanding the boundary of the bid, given that if there's any sort of plan to add any kind of infrastructure or add buildings or add anything in that quarter mile, half mile between Otta and Foothill. Would it make sense to start those conversations now about extending the bid boundary down to Otta in anticipation of potentially more businesses in that area? And on the heels of that, I think we've also talked last year at some point about the idea that like the church on Bennett and Glendora Avenue, the Historical Society, some of the businesses on Vermont would potentially be interested in being a part of the bid, even though they're not kind of in that downtown boundary, but just outside of it. And the idea of expanding the boundaries of it to be non-assessment, but have them have the ability to opt in to pay the assessment in order to be featured and to have marketing communication, and potentially if that goes into having booths or having stands or whatever for them to be able to be a part of that during our events, as a potential way to add another 10, 15, 20 businesses potentially into the bid and into the revenue.
I mean, that's been discussed several times throughout the years and stuff, and then the most recent changes to the bid fee structure, everyone else at the village is basically zero assessment.
Yep.
So you have people you're marketing, but they're not adding anything to your budget.
Right.
Which, so, kind of think about that. And I know, and as Alicia mentioned with the grants and stuff, maybe it was misunderstood last time, like there was money available for you to add to your budget. There isn't. There's been a lot of discussion on what they're doing, the visioning, which is really, like mentioned, it's the infrastructure part. I mean, it'd be great if more businesses were added south and Foothill and stuff, but then you come into private property, get people, investors, that kind of stuff, which that's, the city's the first on that kind of thing, but, and maybe kind of cart before the horse to add boundaries to the village at this point, but it could be something that maybe if you ask around, because they know the businesses south of Foothill that are in the bid, they requested not to be charged because they're not in the village. So that discussion would have to come.
And that goes back to a time where it was like, if you were a part of the bid, you were automatically assessed.
Yeah.
And so no, that would not, if I were south of Foothill, or if I were on Vermont, no, I would not want to be automatically assessed. I wouldn't want to be automatically assessed. Now where I am behind Village Eatery, but the idea of being able to to opt in to marketing to, because I think the discussion before was like, we're not like actively, like what value are we providing to them in order to be assessed? What are they paying for? But since we have marketing communication, since we have promotion, since we have these things now in place, and if we did more with the holiday stroll or with the wine walk and had the ability for people to actually have a table or have booths in the downtown, if we provided more, then there might be more of a draw for them to opt into being a paying member of the bid, so that the historical society or so that the First Christian Church of Glen, yeah, their art program could be featured. They can have a table. They could do all those things if they were a primary assessed thing. So that could be a way to generate more revenue down the road, but that's also a pretty long, I think, lead time to be able to make those changes.
Yeah, because they would have to go up.
Yep.
Which, I mean, eventually, like, Perfect would be great if, the village extended all the way to the Gold Line station, and there were businesses there, coffee shops, pubs, and entertainment and experiences. Yeah, that would be fun.
Because it's kind of like Monrovia. You get off at the Monrovia station, you've got to walk close to a mile just to get to the downtown, and there's like very little in between the station and that. So, but the city right now, they're focusing more on transit, like taking
Correct,
like
but
a
to
shuttle.
your point, that is the visioning it does go through Glendora Avenue, so they're looking at, and it's obviously a process, and as Joe mentioned, there's private property owners that you work with, and the city does do its due diligence to identify areas that would complement not only the Gold Line, but other areas in the city to create, opportunity, looking at zoning changes and things like that for businesses to be available to, occupy this area of the street and also off of Vermont. So all things that the city is looking at requires extensive planning.
I think the easy button is to just assume we're gonna get less than what we're planning for. We're probably gonna get pretty similar number of assessments to last year. That's a safe assumption,
I think that's a conservative assumption.
conservative assumption. And then I think if we wanted to guarantee that more businesses were gonna opt in, we would need to make being a bid member a mandatory component before somebody can participate in an event, and then just make sure our events are well, yeah, and really good and relevant to the people we're trying to get into this. So yeah, it'd be interesting to talk with some of the businesses that are outside the bounds currently. Yeah, see what they want.
I do have a question, Joe, about marketing and promotions. For our budget for this current fiscal year, it's $24,500. Is that Louise's annual income, or what is that number?
It's a bunch of different things.
Okay, because
Her fees, and then, it's a bunch of things.
so the 6,000, that's definitely lower than where we're allotted for that. So is that just that's banners, that's Louise's pay, that's
Yeah, basically the 6 has been per, $1,000 per month. That's basically what that is, and just not much else has been
Paid for it.
paid for to that.
Okay.
Let me, but yeah, it's just, not much has been spent on it extra. Oh, sorry, you're right here. Yeah, it's, it's Louise's fee, print ads in the newspaper, and then web domain hosting, and then miscellaneous street banners, promotion items you would get. So if you add all that together, that's what the 14, or that 24. On the budget side, to make that 24, print ad 3,500, McBeck 16,000, domain hosting 2,000, miscellaneous street banner promotion 3,000. So it kind of, which that, if you like in future meetings, I could have that detailed in the financials,
Yeah, that would be good.
You know,
Well, I mean,
see the breakout.
for me, I'm very, marketing is like, you too, like it's gonna push people here. And if there's money being spent in places it doesn't need to be, it's not gonna generate the push traffic we need. One of the things pointed out here in this email to us was marketing, right?
Mhm.
If we're not making enough traction on social media, which unfortunately social media is the #1 outlet for business success as of right now. It's not newspaper ads, it's not anything printed in a magazine, it's not being featured in SGV, local magazine, it's social media reach. So if that's what our main focus is to generate as a bid board, we're here to help support the business's success. And what does that look like for them for foot traffic and all of that included in our reasoning team and secure. So I would personally like to see that before our meeting, because if we have any way of allocating additional funds per month towards ads on social media,
Yeah.
that is where your bang for your buck is going to be.
Sure.
And unfortunately with Meta and the algorithm, verification is now paid and ads get you exposure and everything is shifted. So the normal post on social media with hashtags is not going to reach people unless you put money behind it. And that's kind of where I would like to see personally, how is our money being spent on that and how is that getting more traction for our businesses in the village? Our events only do so much, but our social media page is pretty sad, I'm just gonna say it. And I think the reposting only goes so far. And we need to have more content generated, pavement, counting pavement, going to the businesses, getting in there, taking pictures, like it's a lot of work. I did it for one day and it was a lot of work.
Sure. Yeah, we can adjust that budget, and it's just,
Yeah.
nothing's been budgeted to do that.
Right? And we should,
Yeah, so I mean, I would totally agree.
okay.
Yeah, where, because I mean, we can do ads and the photographers, it's just gonna have to move money around. Yeah.
Let's look at that.
Yeah. Which that's one thing, I mean, yeah, you're right, marketing, really main part of this group, right? Get people down here. But then also, I mean, I talked about it last time, Louise mentioned it last time and stuff, a lot of the village, like social media, they aren't business pages. They're like an establishment page. So that's why the only thing that gets a lot of traffic is the pictures of the gumdrop trees and the pretty background and stuff like that, right? That's where the traffic is. So maybe it's time to look at it and say, okay, we gotta market this as a place where you need to be here. And then the businesses are there to display when those people are there. I don't know.
Right, because this is the whole thing when everybody came and was up in arms about Santa, right? Because like in our previous meetings, we were like, okay, we need to put more money into business promotion, or we need to put more money into these things that are going to directly benefit business sales. And so let's cut these things. And they came, no, we want kids, and we want families, and we want, and so then we're hearing Louise say that the highest engaged posts are pictures of sunsets.
Not Santa.
Well, not
Not the carriages.
not the hat bar,
No,
not
not the gym.
not the gym, not Small Business Saturday.
No,
It's kids and dogs and American flags And so, and that's fine,
Mhm.
but I think that does have an impact on, yeah, like what are we promoting? Because yeah, we could take money away, I'm just looking at this, like, okay, we've got $50,000 for Friday Night Twilight expenses. From a business perspective, you're thinking, okay, we're spending all of this money so that people can come and hear live music at a time when most businesses are closed.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that instead of putting that money into direct promotion and photography and
If
all
they
of
want
that stuff?
gumdrop trees, let's get some
But
drones.
that's I think that's gonna be the tension that we continue to have here, is that those are the things that if we promote, will actually bring people to the downtown, as opposed to, here's beautiful pictures of the clothing that's in your store and you're having a sale and you should come and like, that's the stuff that works for you in your business, but from the downtown perspective, it's completely backwards and it's not intuitive to us.
Well, that's what, I'm talking with Louise and Megan and stuff, and about, what did those pictures look like? There's two, let's just say we use, Half Bar and Fiorina, for example. Two ladies walking down the street, they have Fiorina bag, they have, when your hat's on, gumdrop trees are in the background, tagged in it, so it's a business and nostalgia page, business and nostalgia kind of picture. That would be it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I mean, I was one of the first ones that did Facebook. Yeah, so then it's always been, it's always put a picture of a gumdrop tree, everybody goes crazy.
I guess think hiring a videography company to do just a general engagement video would be a good idea. Just like kind of like a hello world sort of thing. Where it's pretty cheap on social to put a video in front of eyeballs in our geographical radius. It's tough to track the effectiveness of something like that, but not expensive. We do something like that at Village, just like constantly have videos going to our target demo.
Who does your videos?
Yeah, let's get those numbers together for the meeting we're having. Is it February 6th, you said? For the
Really, this is where it should be happening, because February 6th, we need to have the budget to you guys adopted with minimal changes, and then it goes to council shortly after that.
So what do you think it costs to do promotion on Instagram, Facebook?
We make it a base has some
Oh,
information.
to actually pay someone to do the promotion?
No, just like if we had the content, if we had the videos, if we had the photography, what would it cost to promote those posts?
$10 a day would be a great start.
I don't know, you want Louise to chime
She's
in?
still on.
I don't know if you want to chime in at all, Louise?
Yeah, so there's an ad budget that, I don't think it wouldn't cost anything extra on my end for me to actually run the ads, but you do need to provide me with budget. And, I would say, 500 on the low end a month, an additional 500 on the low end a month, just to boost a post that, kind of encapsulates like the scenery, the shops, the restaurants. Like, if we put together a reel of what it's like to spend a day in the Glendora Village and then boost that for, $15 a day, that alone you'll see traffic or you'll see engagement on that post. And then in time, will that generate foot traffic? I personally will not see that correlation, but if you wanted just for, vanity metrics and to put money behind a reel, you can do it for as long as you want. It all depends. Like with ads, you kind of, dictate, I want to spend $15 a day. This is how many people you'll reach. And so it kind of just depends on like what's a lot to you. But, I've worked with budgets from 500 to 3,000 a month. So we can, as long as that budget's applied, I can run those ads.
Well, I think one of the key metrics that we should be tracking is attendance at events. 'Cause otherwise, I don't know, like to speak to Christina's 5 points. Like she said, that we need specific metrics that we're tracking to determine whether we're successful or not. And I think measuring event success. And then, what did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree with because the most things we do are events. Like we can't really dictate success for like I post about like if we ran a reel around the Glendora Village, Classic Coffee will not tell me that there will not, you know what I mean? Like you won't like Classic Coffee will not be able to directly see the fruits of that ad.
And that's again, that's the tension between
Right.
we're gonna do a business analytics oriented marketing strategy for Glendora downtown that is all directed towards promoting businesses with specific things that bring in foot traffic to those specific businesses and impact sales, that is measurable and all of those things. That is, I think, what we're finding out that people do not want. Like it sounds like what they want are pictures of kids and they want the family, they want to promote the downtown as to have this nostalgic feeling. And if we do all of our marketing effort around that.
But businesses want to see them promoted, which is fair.
It's not measurable.
Right.
So
right.
It's a halo effect of, you know, this is the downtown and this is who we are as a city, and we're painting a picture that makes people want to come here.
Right.
And so
right.
You're just not going to be able to track any of that.
Yeah, and I think too, just point, the events are the ones. So, you know, we sold out of Wine Walk last year. Every time we have an event post, I feel like, you know, the village gets busier every year, which to me, like on social, that's what that's all I can see. It's like we post something on social, get people hyped up, crowd comes. That's my measure right there. And so that's for me, my measurement. But, you know, for individual businesses, I can't really speak for those individual businesses. I'm just speaking as the village as a whole. So are people coming to the village or not based on these posts and, you know, what engages them? And like you said, Matt, like that's where the tension is. It's like, are we going to post and boost specific businesses? Or are we just going to promote the village as a whole? Which again, I can easily run those ads. It's just, I need to know where you guys want, how you guys want that ad spend to run. Personally, I would put ad spend in Wine Walk because we want to sell out this year. And we did that and we sold out last year. So, you know, that's my measure of success there for the specific event itself. So it's completely up to you guys and to what and how you want to, I guess, like, because I don't think anyone will be not anyone and everyone will be happy. And so it's like, do we want to promote the village as a whole, or, you know, share that experience while not being able to measure how each business is doing after we run these ads?
Yeah, that's what kind of my question really with it. The bid's purpose is the bid, overall bid, is its job to market each individual business, or just the village as a place where you need to be?
I mean, it's got to be the latter.
Yeah.
There's five, and we're volunteers that are unpaid. Like, to speak to some of the comments in here, like, I don't have the capacity to go to every business once a year and have a sit-down conversation with each business owner. I'm here to provide my perspective and insight from what I've learned being a business owner in downtown, and to help out with these meetings, maybe volunteer for an event. But it's just, I don't think it's feasible for us to take on a part-time job where we go and chat with every business.
We have these meetings so that they can come here and share their perspective with us.
I also don't think it's feasible for us to gather feedback on every decision we make. would very much slow down an already very slow process to make changes. But I do think, I mean, we can definitely define our ideal client better. We can try to measure event success better. We can clarify social media and website content better. But yeah, I mean, the statement of it's essential to reiterate that the board serves the bid, not the other way around. I'd be curious to know what's behind that. Because I'm very much here to help. I think we all are.
Yeah, I think that's what it, I think that's what it.
It's also the best.
Yeah.
Back to marketing, because that's why Louise is on the call too. With the revamping of the logo for Glendora, maybe that's something that we should consider too for Glendora Village. So that it goes hand in hand with the city's new look, supposedly, you know, like the new, not, it, yeah, the new look, right?
The branding.
Maybe that's what we should consider for ourselves too, and take that spark of brightness, energy. It's very energetic. It's very momentous. It's very, I don't know if that's a word. I hope it is. Sometimes I make up my own words. And it's new, right? So if we're looking at that part of Glendora and we're a part of that, how do we revitalize the logo? How do we, I guess what I want to know is, you know, I came in later, so I'm not privy to information other than what I know. With the marketing and with Louise's contract, if there's any way to review that and see time spent, what that allocated expense goes to, and how can we utilize her at her fullest capacity to ensure that the social media marketing is working in our favor, and how we can elevate what we have currently as an investment with her, and what additional investment's going to be needed to get us to the next step. Because ideally on social media for our businesses in the village, we should be posting every day. We should be using the times when people are looking at our posts and looking at the days that are the most profitable, and the times people are on Instagram with our demographic and our reach, you know, target client or target audience. But the last post was 2 days ago. So, and then the post before that was 6 days ago. So there's a gap that we're not reaching. And I'd like to know, are we using existing content and just reposting? Or does she have a team that's hitting the ground, taking content? Is that in her contract? I don't know, I don't know. And so that's the part that is mind-boggling for me, because if I go to the page, all it is reposts of people who added Glendora Village as collaborators, myself included. Chamber as well, you're on there too. So I guess that's what I'm trying to understand, is how do we take what we have and make it better? And how do we benefit the village in a greater way? And marketing and reach is what is it's what's gonna promote all these events that are on the board. It's what's gonna help our budget. It's what's gonna provide a surplus versus a deficit. So, you know, I wanna see those things before sitting down for a meeting for budget, and we're missing 2 board members too. It's
No businesses.
it's yeah, it's kind of, this is a tough meeting because of everything going on, and I think that we probably should look at some stuff before making these types of calls. We should have everybody here.
Yeah, it's just we're unfortunately under a set calendar that is, yeah, but yeah, I know. Now, this was just the initial, we still discussed and finalized in February, and 2 of you we could need to go over.
Yeah, I think we should.
Do we want to at least increase our marketing budget?
I do.
So I think
We
we're
need to move
all on
some-
that same
yeah,
page.
we are.
Yeah, okay. Can we increase it by 50%, double it? What do you guys say?
I think if you put it, I mean, $6,000 is $500 a month just for promotion.
I mean, chalk walk expenses, 8,000, there's a big bucket there we could use to.
Well, that's what, if you look at you don't need 8,000 for that. Yeah, that could go down much less.
Yeah, I mean, you could take 5 out of Chalk Block, you could take 5 out of Friday night, and you could put 10 more into marketing
Yeah.
promotion.
Well, theoretically, more into marketing promotion should yield more revenue somewhere.
We'll do that.
We also have we also have surplus to work with. If we're trying to throw things against the wall to see what sticks, then let's increase the budget for marketing promotions and let's double it. And we don't have to use that money. We've got it in the bank, and let's see if we can make an impact. You know, that unfortunately we're not going to make an immediate impact. This is for July of 25 on. But we could also talk about moving some things around now or we could, I don't know what the process is for adding money for this budget.
Well, there's like under special event other, there's 10,000 sitting there,
Okay.
right? Current budget. You know, and
So do we need to define? Maybe for the next meeting, we take a stab at writing some of this stuff out.
Who does Louise report to? So do we just
I
have
mean,
to tell her where she's, like,
well-
do this, do that, or does she have to get, we have to get approval for the city?
well, no, I mean, she works with me. I mean,
She's like,
I'm
I just wanted to give a little bit of clarity since I've been around for not too long, a couple years now. So just wanted to provide some helpful things out. So the marketing, I think today's conversation is nothing is getting approved today. So if you guys want to beef stuff up, eliminate stuff, this is all just casual. So Joe has something a little more definitive to kind of bring. And you guys are still able to at that time make any changes that you want. Yeah, pending any line item detail or anything like that, any feedback that you might get in the meantime. All that to say, typically what the city has done in the past is kind of work with the allocated budget that we already have. So if you're trying to add from your surplus, just keep in mind, while it might be beneficial to the bid members, a chunkier marketing budget, you're not going to see any revenue from that. So just kind of keep that in mind when you start dipping into your surplus, that really it's your assessment and your your revenue generating events that are going to bring in more money to sustain the bid for longevity purposes. So just something to keep in mind regarding the marketing. And I know Joe's been here for quite some time, so he's seen the influx of conversation about marketing and committees, and I want to do a committee and Alfred, and it just kind of dies off. And I'm sure the Mats have seen that as well. So while the board serves a membership, the board also does kind of have the capacity and the responsibility of, heading these events or, committees or what have you, because really it's just the board, the membership, and Joe. So when you're seeing issues of marketing, you're more than welcome to create a committee, and you can really determine what that looks like in terms of accountability. I know, I'm very sure that Louise's contract hasn't changed very much, and she's doing what she can within her scope. So if you want to beef that up, I'm sure she would be willing to revisit that conversation, but it's really a joint effort between the board, the membership, and the consultant. So just kind of keep that in mind.
and we could meet between meetings, it just can't be any more than 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so like we should maybe just like, it sounds like the marketing thing is the main thing, everything else you kind of pencil out. But meet in between with some real ideas, some dollars, plan, and then go.
I think I also really, it's interesting that Christina sent all of this. And there are things in here that I actually really agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Most of all because I feel like these meetings kind of do the same thing in every single one of these meetings. And it would really actually be very helpful to say that this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what we are doing. Not have to go around in circles every single time.
That's where I think last time we talked about having a policy, quick bullet point, call it this what it is, this is what we market, this is how we market, this is who we market for. Here you go.
So we can
Because
actually,
it's been like this since 2009.
so we can actually get to like, yeah,
But yeah, a lot of this would fix that. A lot of what's on for email. Fix that.
Are we doing chalk walk? Is that something we're gonna do this year?
It was added the last meeting in a simple form
yes.
in April.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that goes along with, like, those are the kinds of community
Mhm.
events that people want to see.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember what the 8,000
Well,
was,
that,
but
when, it hasn't been done for a while, but when the last time it was done, it was just really big, and there was the chalk walk, I think, Glendora's Got Talent, there was a lot of stuff to it.
right,
And there were squares everywhere on the street, on the sidewalk and all that, there was just more extent to it. But kind of, we want to re-envision that, it just be put squares on the sidewalks, you don't close the street, you're not having, it's just an opportunity for people to be down there, so that would cost less. But that's up to that group that wants to do that.
I had prepared something with regard to the holiday stroll. I don't know if this is or getting along as it is. I don't know that this is the right place to really go deep into that, but I was asked to do it. We can talk more about it next month if need be, but basically I outlined, I found a festival that does vendor booths.
I'm going to show it.
And, yeah. So, I found a festival that does vendor booths and had all the applications and had all of the requirements and all of the ins and outs of it. And it's something that we can look at in more detail later. But this could be a template for generating more revenue potentially in the holiday stroll or in the downtown events. But basically, you get these booths, you need power to go to them, and every single vendor is required to have insurance, they've got to get a city license, there's terms and prohibited items, there's all of this stuff. But then the three types of booths that you could have is you could have food booths, which is like Ramones or Crust and Crumble selling sandwiches. You can have vendor booths, which would be like, Worktop Collective having a booth that is sort of maybe closer up or out into the street, and having some special stuff there. And then you could have game booths or areas that maybe would not be a booth specifically, but a zone. I actually talked to Crust and Crumble about this. They were like, yeah, like we'll do a cookie decorating like zone station for kids. And, and then they can like charge $5 for each person to come in and like, you get a cookie and the decorating and all that. And so that would just require us to have tables and stuff. So these are just some basic ideas for potentially how to add more into the events that we're doing, and potentially generate more revenue. I think they were saying they were charging people like $500 per booth, and for like a basic thing, and then there was like another one that was premium that was like $700. So I don't know. It's not a ton, but it's not nothing. So and it is a way to kind of bring more life into the holiday stroll, especially at the south end of the avenue, where there really isn't anything going on. And then potentially having food trucks in Foothill, like with the car show, to just have food. So, we don't have to go deeper into this. There's a lot more in this document about applications and what they were requiring and all of that, but that's just an idea. There would be some expense involved on our side, at least up front, but then, if you bought 10, 12 of these booths, but then, you'd have them, they'd have to be stored, but then we could profit from them for every event going forward.
Thanks for putting that together. Awesome. Cool. All right. So I'll request a motion for our bid budget workshop discussion. Is this
Looks like, at this point, it just, it's not to prove anything, but
yeah,
what's the next steps?
all right. I think our next step was that you were gonna come back to us with some numbers for next meeting.
Yeah, well, next meeting, come back with the actual draft budget for approval. But in the meantime, we should,
Sorry, I just want everything to be productive and effective and efficient and all those things, since we're working on a tight deadline. So I think it would be helpful today, because part of this recommendation is to discuss and instruct for adjustments. So I don't know if you have exactly what you need to come back with revised after today's discussion. These adjustments have been made and this is what we're looking at, and you guys would be happy with that. No further major adjustments would need to be presented at the next meeting. Or does everyone feel good about that?
We're gonna try and double the marketing budget. We're gonna try and take money out of certain things that we can in order to do that. And
then should have, in the meantime, a small committee of 2 of you, me, maybe someone else, talk about the details of that market, because that's the big thing right there.
I'd be happy to be a part of that discussion.
Okay.
You should be there too, you're lovely.
And the other ones, they've kind of been saying in the good area, just, we really want to focus on the marketing part of this point.
I think so.
Okay.
Joe, sorry to interrupt everybody. I have to off here in a minute, but I'd also be happy to, sit down with any members to go over budgeting for events too. So there's a clear picture of that. But to Matt's point, I agree. I think it would be beneficial instead of, cutting back on budget of events, actually a lot of, we could produce more revenue through adding on to the events that are already existing in terms of exactly what you're saying, sponsorship spaces, that kind of stuff. But anyway, just throwing that out there, if anybody needs more breakdown of how we've allocated the budget for these events in the past.
Yeah, I think, we'll, the 3 of us here and both you and Louise bring us all together. It's just, we can only have 2 board members there, so. Okay. So then everybody's on the same page and we're going to go. So I got direction.
Cool. Okay, so we'll make a motion then to have a discussion amongst Ronnie and Matt about the specifics of marketing budget for next meeting. Okay, I'll request a motion.
I'll move to have that meeting. We need a motion for
I'm so
that.
sorry, guys, I know we're.
Yeah.
Well, someone has the second first
second
and then you can discuss.
Second.
All in
I-
favor? Aye.
No, you. After first and second,
Me
then
first.
you can call for
I
discussion.
second it.
I'll
Make a motion. I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right, closing comments. Here's your last chance to speak.
Okay, I wanted to say some stuff. I wanted to see what the opportunity could be for us to step up as a bid to help support the victims of the fires that have been displaced from their homes. We're so close to we are Los Angeles County, and we're all affected from this. economically, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I think that our town is small, but if we can arrange, and I don't know where to start with this, but we could use the bus plaza. Maybe next week, we can get some businesses together that want to partake in this and rent a truck to take the donations to a shelter. I'm still learning where these shelters are. There's not very many for people right now. There's more for animals and displaced horses and stuff like that. But we're a faith-based community, and I feel like if enough of us can get together and help these surrounding communities, even if it's Altadena, I mean, they're so close to home for us. I think it would be what is needed right now for us over all of these topics and all of these things. We're affected by this too because of everything happening in LA. And so I'd like to suggest maybe in a week's time, if we have time to coordinate something like that. The needs obviously are now, but us getting businesses together to get this drive together for the Glendora bid obviously can't happen overnight. So if there's any way we can do that in a week's time, make an announcement, see who wants to partake, do a drive for new and unused clothes, toiletries, things that these people need. I would highly suggest us talking about doing something like that as a community. I think it would speak volumes. And I think it's just what's needed right now. Over events and wine walk and all these things, like I'm opening my doors to my business today and there's thousands of people who can't. And it affects everyone. And so I don't know if we can do it in a week, 2 weeks. But if we can get city approval to use the bus plaza up there, even the courtyard where that's where the courtyard is, right, for the tree lighting.
There's
Maybe the chamber gets involved. You know, I just think it's going to speak volumes for us as a community because we.
well, the Citrus, just yesterday, the Citrus Jazz Band is interested in playing in the bus plaza on the 17th at lunchtime. You know, they're interested in playing at lunchtime on the 17th, 31st, and 14th. And so if they're playing there and you all want to promote that you'll be there collecting stuff, I mean, starting to work with them to get a permit to do it. And, you know, but I think it would have, you know, the kind of within the businesses themselves organizing that.
I think it would start with an email out to the bid businesses. I'm not sure who could send that for us. If you and I want to sit down, if we need another board member to discuss something like this, I think it should be a bid-driven event drive, and come up with how this would work, and who would we be donating to. I don't mind helping to spearhead that initiative. So.
Yeah. Well, to be bid driven, we need people here to approve it. I mean, it could assist in putting the email out to people, but it probably would need to be privately done within the businesses. But if you wanted to use that opportunity on the 17th, once that's approved or set up, they'll probably be there. But yeah, I mean, we can figure something out. I can help with the marketing of it and stuff.
Sure, if there's other stuff that comes up, and other drives, technically our meeting is over the moment that Matt walked out of the room. But yeah, let's adjourn the meeting.